just want to quickly introduce yourself to the chat watching. Jack, why don't you go first, and then we'll bring Harry in.
Oh, it's my specialist subject myself, so gladly.
Mhm.
Well, I'm Jack. I'm 26 years old, and I've been doing YouTube for a little while, for over a decade, just sort of doing random comedy bits and whatever comes to mind. And I'm also very handsome. Harry, what about you?
Hi, I'm Harry, also known as Hudson Media, and I've been doing YouTube for a few years, predominantly making music and audio stories and stuff like that. But I'm predominantly an actor, trying to get into that industry. But we'll see whether that happens anytime soon. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. So, one reason we brought you folks on this evening is to talk about an upcoming play that you're doing. Speaking of acting, and speaking of Jack's brilliant blue jacket, he's got on right now as well. It's going to be a Doctor Who parody play, Out of Plot. But before we get to that, we will talk about the robot revolution. So I'm curious as to what your expectations were, both of yous, for going into this, because there's been a lot of doom mongering even in the fandom as well about the future of the show, which we can talk about or not talk about, whatever you folks want to do. But with that being said, going into the robot revolution, were your expectations met? Did you think it was a good or a bad opener? Harry, why don't we start with yourself?
Um, I I knew that I was going to be watching it with my mates. So first of all, I was like, those are always good experiences. So I was kind of looking forward to it. But I wasn't like the biggest fan of season one. Like it was good. I just wasn't like hyped for season two off of it. But I actually had a really good time. I thought it was a massive step up from Space Babies, and it just did all the things that I wanted it to do. So I was pretty happy, to be honest with you. I was quite content. But I hear, Jack, that you weren't so keen.
Well, when it comes to expectations, I had none because I try and avoid as much as humanly possible. I'm one of those. I like to go in blind outside of the big trailer. But what was it? Still baffled. I rewatched it about an hour ago. Still baffled by how much happened. That's my general view.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the idea that there's way too much going on in it. I think, characters like Sasha could have been like, you could have had like a full on montage or sequence with her and the Doctor. But there's also like Alan, that twist with that in the third act as well. Like it feels like a lot of ideas and just not enough time to do them. But I watched this with my wife and my cats, who did not like the cat death early on. That was a bit.
No, mine didn't either.
Nah, it was. Yeah, I think we should complain to Ofcom about that one.
I will.
Yes, let's do it. Let's have that mass email campaign. But I did actually really enjoy it. I did actually find myself quite swept up in it. I think that it had some really fun, like great energetic moments, and I think it looked great as well. I really liked the robots, the practical suits,
Yeah.
just waddling along.
Oh, those robots were awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, those looked really good, and it was fascinating watching the Doctor Who Unleashed episode to talk about how they were 3D printed. And there's a great clip of one of the actors just full on falling down in the garden, which
I need to watch that then.
It's poetry. It's beautiful. I wept. I wept. So stuff like that was fun, and I'm curious as to whether or not just a fun opener is enough in this day and age. But for what it was, I actually think it was one of RTD's stronger openers. Because you've got
Interesting.
New Earth, Smith and Jones, Partners in Crime, and Rose. And I think Robot Revolution's up there. But maybe one of the best, if not the best, alongside like Smith and Jones, I think. Smith and Jones felt the most appropriate comparison. And not just because he had a companion with who works in a hospital, yes. Here's the old boss, same as the new boss, so whatever that saying is. But I don't know, timey-wimey, I'm not 6. But yeah, so the big appeal for this one, I think, is the introduction of the new companion. What did you folks think of Belinda, played by Valida Sethu?
I thought she was great, just because I wasn't. I mean, similarly with season one as a whole, I wasn't all that keen on Ruby. I just, like everyone else, I just thought it was too pally with the Doctor very quickly, and there wasn't much like dynamics with that relationship. Whilst already within an episode, you got her calling him out, which felt very real to life. Do you know what I mean? If you actually got swooped up by someone you didn't know, and you had all that happen to you in one day, you'd probably be a little bit like, "What the hell is going on?" And all my mates, when she called him out in the TARDIS, were like, "Whoa, okay." It was great. I thought she was really great, and it's the first time I'm kind of invested in a companion storyline from the offset, which was nice. But I could be objectively wrong if Jack says so.
Oh, you are, yeah. So yeah, let me just cut in right now. I mean, she's definitely the highlight. That's what everyone kept saying. Every time I tried to avoid spoilers and failed, everyone was saying like, yeah, the episode was fine, but Belinda is where it's at. And I think for me, it's too early to tell. I'm so bad at gauging like on just one episode. I need to watch like at max 3 for me to really understand it. But I mean, it is the one thing you can say is the strength. You can also see like a good merging of sort of past companions of their best attributes. Like again, the comparison to Martha, with them both being, Doctor Nurse, that dynamic's inherently quite cool and was never really used with Martha. So hopefully it's used a bit more. And then also the talking back, like with Donna as well. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic with Belinda.
Yeah, I think Harry's on the right idea with like the comparisons to Ruby as well. When there you go, take the bow. There's the theater actor in you coming out again, because like you've got Ruby, who is like is she 18 or 19 when we meet her in the church on Ruby Road, and she
12.
is. Actually, she's like 12 minutes old because like we meet her being dropped off in the doorsteps. So it's understandable that she gets swept up in the fairy tale Doctor, but Belinda is like completely doesn't really have time for this. And I think because she's in her early 30s, I'm assuming that's the implication because the opening flashback is like 17 years ago. And she was she's like maybe mid-teens when she's with Alan on that park bench. So let's say that she's like in her late 20s, early 30s, and maybe she's kind of a lot more independent and sure of who she is as a person, whereas Ruby is all about trying to find out who she is, find her identity through her parents. So maybe there's the idea of like that Russell could be playing with kids growing out of Doctor Who. I don't know. That might be an interesting meta approach. But I think, Jack, you're right in that we'll give it a few more weeks and see if that pans out. But I think the first impressions were really, really strong there. And when I was watching it, and then we've got Anita Dobson as Mrs. Flood in the garden, somehow a neighbor to Belinda. Like, do you folks, do you care about that mystery? Are you invested at all?
Not in any way. Maybe they'll pull the rug out and I'll be like, oh my God, that's actually really clever. But it's like, they haven't given me reason to care yet. And like, I'm sure she's great. I'm sure whatever character she's playing is going to be great. But like, hurry up, give me something, give me a taste.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be like not expecting anything that great and then get surprised than be like, she's going to be like, oh my God, again. And then
and that's the RTD thing as well. Like we both love it, but RTD has a very specific way of selling you on something, which is insisting it's the best thing that's ever been made. Which, granted, it's a showrunner thing, but it's so brilliant, it's marvelous, it's fantastic, and we always find that hysterical. And it's the same with Mrs. Flood. It's just like, oh, it's absolutely marvelous. I'm sure it is, darling, but come on now.
And then everyone clapped at the read through. It is those vibes. But like Jack, because you love your comedies and your skits, have you ever seen The Fast Show?
I've seen bits of The Fast Show. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because when Anita Dobson looks at the camera, it's like, you ain't seen me. It gets reminded me of the Mark Williams character, where it's just this weird gangster-like person. He's like, you ain't seen me, right? And then just walks away. And that's the skit. Like, that happens. So that was my big cultural touchstone when Mrs. Flood turned up and is like, okay, we'll see you next week or whatever. I've kind of checked out of that mystery myself, because I watched it, like I said, I watched this with my wife, who did not watch Empire of Death. She was spared that cruel fate. So I don't think she actually knew if she was the same person as Susan Twist. I think she just saw old woman with like white grey hair and just thought, oh, we're seeing her again. So I
That
guess
one this universe.
yeah,
All old people look the same.
they do. They do. It's the rare form of reverse racism, I think. But for the robot revolution itself, I liked the idea of the star certificate being like legally binding, and the robots actually come together. That is such a fun idea. Because my wife actually got me one of those stars thing like when we first started going out. So I've got one in a drawer somewhere. So I'm worried for that.
Oh, we'll have fun on Planet Mr. TARDIS.
Yes,
Have a lovely
thank
time.
yeah. I will be a benevolent but cruel ruler. I'm going to start.
Fair.
Yes, I'm going to be reinstating Prima Nocta. But for yeah, I think it was a great idea. Like very like almost Goosebumps or Twilight Zone inspired. So what do you folks think of that premise?
It felt new. Like that's why I thought I enjoyed it more, is because, you know, with Space Babies, I just felt it was, you could see where they were taking inspiration from other stories that had already come before. Whilst with that, I don't think I've seen a premise set up like that. And also, I think the execution was just really funny. You know, the robot coming in and, are you Belinda Chandra? It's like, how do you know my name? You are confirmed as Belinda Chandra. I thought that was great. You know, yeah. So I really enjoyed it, but I'm again not sure if Jack is in agreement.
I like how
No,
you're
I
waiting
like
for
that-
Jack's
okay.
approval.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm like a fact checker if opinions were fact. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The premise is solid. It's a great gag. Again, my issue is just the episode as a whole was just such a maybe it needs to settle for old Jackie boy. But I will say on the star certificate thing, solid. No complaints.
Yeah. While I really enjoyed it on a first viewing, on a second viewing, there were some moments where I was like, that really needed more development. Because we meet Sasha on the planet, played by Evelyn Miller, and she has massive, like, I'm 2 days away from retirement vibes. And they play that so hard, where it's like, oh, you're going to take me to the stars. Yeah, it's a date. And then she immediately dies. It almost felt comical.
It felt comedic.
Yeah.
The second that, like, you know, she says, "Oh, you know, take me with you after this." My mate went, "She's dead. She's dead. Yeah, she's gone."
Yeah, I think maybe like a Target novelization or a big Finish series where you've been on the planet for 6 months and Nicholas Briggs is salivating, like the idea that I think there's a really great idea in that you could do a bait and switch where you could do like a Alfred like a Hitchcock Psycho, where you market this other person to be the companion, and then they die, and then it's another actor who comes in. It kind of feels like that could have worked for this, but there's so little going on with Sasha, and that it doesn't land. So when the Doctor's getting all sad about it, I'm sad for him, but I don't care.
Like that was my issue. It's just like it didn't really matter either. Like you take it out of the episode, nothing changes, and if anything, there's just more room for more stuff. Like the buff guy, the one who's still alive and is cool. I want to see more of him.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Yes, I think that was a very audience pleasing bit of casting. Max Parker playing Manny, with a tank top with his arms out. You know, oof.
I don't remember the character's name, but you remember the character. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I do declare. I think it was a Little Britain clip with Matt Lucas going, "Oh, he's gorgeous. But he was not a character, but he was definitely gorgeous. But speaking of absolutely gorgeous, Ncuti Gatwa in this episode, I thought he had a lot of energy, but with the exception of that last scene when Belinda kind of calls him out on his BS, I don't think there's a lot happening with the character here, but I think he's making it work through sheer enthusiasm.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's Ncuti as a whole, though. Like, you can't deny the effort he brings to the role, at least on screen. And yeah, he has, just as himself, makes the Doctor his own. There's always that one thing that makes every Doctor their own. And like, it kind of similar to Pertwee, you know, play it like John Pertwee. Ncuti is absolutely playing it like Ncuti.
Yeah, I was going to say, it kind of, like, watching his performance made me think he feels very classic Who in the sense that back then you just relied on the actor bringing everything to the role. whilst obviously these days you've got story arcs and like certain dynamics and stuff like that you put a lot of emphasis on. But you know, it's kind of nice to see a Doctor that really you're just watching the whole picture from him. You know, it's yeah, I thought it was great. It's really good.
Yeah, I do think that there's a really great idea in that the time has gone wrong so that he's landed on the planet for 6 months before Belinda gets there and joins these resistance fighters. I think that's a really cool idea, but I was kind of waiting for it to maybe do a like this might not be the best comparison, but do you remember the Crimson Horror when the Doctor's discovered in that prison cell, and then it cuts back and there's a montage with the Doctor and Clara getting to how they got to that position. I was kind of waiting for that to happen, but it kind of never did. So
well, that's another big finish again, as you say.
There we go.
Primed and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for like the episode where they finally discover how the robots can't hear every 9th word. Like, how on earth do you put that together?
Yeah, wasn't it to do with that? Like when they showed the guy, the incel guy in the robot AI thing, that it's like there was a click. It's every like 9th click. I didn't really understand it, but I was just like, that probably is why somehow. Sure.
Yeah, and they meant and when the guy's in that AI throne thing, and then they cut to every 9th word he's saying, it's like, oh, I'm in pain, help, I'm in pain. But then when you watch the scene after that revelation and you're like maybe trying to pay attention to every 9th word, it's just dropped. Like it's just there to facilitate these little moments, but they don't actually follow through on it, which it almost feels like Moffat. Like, look how clever we're being, and then it's not actually that clever.
With his massive brain.
And I swear that after that revelation, you don't ever hear the 9th word being something different to what he's saying anyway.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a like.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it if the 9th word, like he was talking, he's just like, and I will destroy you. And I will, and he just starts screaming his little head off. That's the 9th word. Sorry again for the audio listeners. I have killed you.
The audience is now deaf.
Good.
Out of interest, do you guys have any theories at all on? So I've been talking about this with friends, but that scene where he's talking to Belinda and saying that he's found out about her through someone he's met, and they play the Gallifrey motif underneath that scene.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, everyone I've said it to goes, do they? And then they watch it, they go, oh yeah, they do. Yeah, it's an interesting little setup there. I wonder what that payoff's going to be. You know,
I think Belinda is the Rani. I think Mrs. Flood is the Rani. I think Shooty's also the Rani. They're all the Rani. Is my point.
The robot revolution was the Ranis we met along the way.
Heck yeah, that's why it's the Rani Revolution. That was the original title, but they changed it.
The Rani Revolution. But yeah, it's interesting. Well, like I think that the idea of having this like incel guy, Alan, because they say Planet of the Incel, so it's clear what their inspiration is. I think that is mainly interesting in that it might be a counterpoint to the Doctor, who also offers the female young companion the stars, and that's literally how we meet Alan at the beginning of the episode, by giving Belinda a star. But apart from that, it's an interesting idea, but I think that it's just not suited to this episode, where it's a twist reveal and we don't actually get to know Alan at all. Because I've worked with teenage boys, and a lot of them are kind of that shallow, are kind of that terrible to be around. But it
was nice to be seen.
Yeah, he finally felt represented. But I think there's a more interesting story where we do learn why Alan is the way he is. I mean, we see him playing video games when he's kidnapped, so video games bad, I guess. I don't know.
Gamers with a capital G. It's a slur that I will dare not say again.
Yes, the true discriminated class, gamers. But I think it's an interesting idea, just not suited to how this episode's structured.
I suppose, like if it wasn't for the couple of lines where he's like blatantly like horrible to Belinda, I feel like essentially that episode could have just been saying that anyone who plays video games is a bit awkward, is a massive piece of crap, So if it wasn't, maybe it needed more exploration in that sense, like. actually seeing who he is as opposed to just a couple of lines, because I guess that could go over your head a tiny.
Yeah. And I think the idea as well of just reverting him back to a sperm and an egg, and then he gets polished up.
Yeah, that was a weird ending.
It felt a little mean spirited, and like maybe Alan had it coming, but I would have liked the story to maybe justify that particular fate. I don't know.
Maybe the justification is that RTD in real life had an ex called Alan, and he liked playing video games, and he broke his heart, and so now he's a bad guy, Doctor Who bad guy, and that's the ultimate revenge.
Because I just imagine
of
this ex is like, it's on Saturday morning, he's got his bowl of cereal and like spits it out when he sees Alan. Like, what? Can I sue? Like,
you can, yes. It's like what was it? There was a Netflix show ages ago, not ages ago, relatively recently, and the guy someone sued because they thought it was about them. Then it turned out it was about them. It's that. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Oh, is that
that's where I was going?
Baby Reindeer?
That's the one. I didn't watch it, but yeah. There was a bit in the episode, right? Going back to the doctor being comparing with the incel dude, Alan. I should just call him by his character name, really. But there's a bit where Belinda goes, "No, don't worry. I'll stand up for myself." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, here we go." The doctor then steps between them and they don't talk. That was a weird moment. I have no point, but I thought that was weird.
Yeah, I didn't even clock that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always watching for women's rights. That's me.
So, yes, Jack is the ultimate in gender equality, and it's why I'm
here
glad
for you guys.
Yeah, it's why I'm glad you're on the stream. But yeah, so it kind of is similar to something like Dot and Bubble or Rogue, where I know that Rusty Davis didn't write Rogue, but the idea that, oh, this is really good, but then there's like some really strange moments that just really rip and wrench me out of the episode. And it's like, well, how did that happen? Why have you made that particular decision? And I guess it sort of confuses me a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could be overthinking it, and it is trying to maybe be a fun partners in crime style romp. But when you start trying to have ideas like, you know, Planet of the Incels, I think it's you should maybe try and take it a bit more seriously than it does. But I don't know. It is Doctor Who at the end of the day.
True. Did you guys like the bit where the doctor turned off all the power in the hospital? I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah,
that was really good,
yes.
and we never cut back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Belinda goes back to her flat, and then there's a news story in the background with 400 dead as hospital has a major power outage.
She was just like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, massive death toll.
It's all right. You can just blame the time fracture. That's all you can do.
Do it.
Yeah, it's time fracture fault. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, as Jack, as somebody who did go to the time fracture, were there any connections? Well, you know.
Oh, well, no, and that's upsetting because they kept saying it. They kept saying time fracture, and I was like, yes, 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 because that is the one thing I will never shut up about. Is the time fracture show they did a couple years back, and they need to bring back because they were supposed to, and they never did. And I was like, oh, is this finally? Are they gonna like do this big multimedia thing again? Probably not, and that's sad. But it got me excited for a minute there. Ooh, yum.
So I'm trying to think if there's much more to talk about. I really liked the look of the episode. I think that Alan as that robot king looked really cool.
That was insane looking, yeah.
Yeah, and like in Unleashed, you can see that it is a suit. It is practical, like makeup and prosthetics and stuff. So
I have to watch the Unleashed. I fell off Unleashed because maybe I'm just being harsh, but the guy who hosts it, I don't like listening to his voice. I'm sure he's a very lovely man, but good God, it's just like, where's Anthony Head when in a voiceover booth when you need him?
I'm like on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum with Stefan Powell, because I love his dulcet Welsh tones. He used to host like BBC News stuff on the radio, so his voice is so recognizable to me.
I'm gonna make enemies saying that. I should stop talking.
I'm gonna send Stefan to you now. I have him on I have him on speed dial. The Unleashed was really fun and he does like a work experience every week, and he was with the pyrotechnics team, for the big
Yeah.
action set piece, firing like blanks on from with a gun and like creating
that's fun.
squibs and sparks and stuff. That was
That's the one bit I did like from the few episodes I watched. The fact that he highlights all these sort of smaller roles on set. That's ace. That's
Yeah.
top tier.
I do think I know you're not the biggest fan, Jack, but I do think that Stefan Powell is like one of the MVPs of the Bad Wolf era of Doctor Who.
Interesting. Okay, maybe I'll come around. I'm open.
But yeah, the episode looked great. Peter Hoare is directing, who last directed A Good Man Goes to War. That was his last Doctor Who credit.
Oh, I love that.
And since then he's done It's a Sin for Russ T Davies. He's done episodes of The Last of Us for HBO. So yeah, I think he does a really great job with this episode. Like there's parts like Steven Spielberg when the spaceship lands and Belinda's looking out of the blinds. There's like, you know, I guess maybe like War of the Worlds when you've got this underground society of rebels, and you've got like even something like weird like robot Lovecraftian imagery with the big AI generator. I think it's kind of a marvel that there's so many different tones, but it still does feel like one singular episode. So I'll give Peter Hall like massive props for visually directing the episode.
I was going to say one thing that I forgot to mention actually. I think is really cool is the whole sequence when Belinda puts the piece of paper with the other one and the whole time distortion thing that happens and it does all the lights and stuff. That whole sequence was very classic Who, but I thought that looked incredible. Like I don't think we've seen time distortions like played out like that before, have we? Really? So that looked really cool. Speaking of,
yeah, that was really trippy. That was like in Into the Dalek when they get shrunk down and go through the eye stalk and it's all abstract and strange and colourful.
True.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I remember. Oh, I was going to say, speaking about that sequence, I was there when they did the lighting test for that. And it looks fantastic on the final result. But when you're sat there watching just one person screaming at a camera whilst they're flicking loads of lights at them in a big
just drop that in, why don't you?
Like you say, like when you were there, I like to. Was this like a consensual presence? Like you were just like on the ceiling,
No,
like you know, ready.
I had a big bazooka. I shot the front door down. Russell was like, "Just come on in, like do what you want, Harry." I thought,
It's gonna be brilliant. It's gonna be marvelous.
It's gonna be marvelous. And came in and watched it. It was fantastic. Peter Hall said, "Get out of here! What the hell's wrong with you, you silly fool?" And I was just like, "No, I like."
He's being very casual. What he's saying is he was indeed present for some of this.
Yeah, I did a bit of standing work on the lighting tests. That's why, just so people know. But yeah, it was crazy. It was cool. Very cool.
Exciting stuff. I before today, I actually had no idea that you were involved in any way in the series.
Yeah,
Impressive.
I'm contemplating. Can I even drop that in naturally? So I thought I'll let you know on the chat, and if it comes up, I'll bring it up. And also because of NDAs, I've been like, "Oh, do I say anything? Do I say?" So yeah, but
yeah, Harry's the 16th Doctor. Is can we announce that? We're allowed to announce that, right?
Well, I was actually thinking Harry is Mrs. Flood.
Ooh, when my friend said that to me yesterday, unironically, I was like, "Yeah, okay, thanks."
I would.
Yeah,
This would be the best series ever if that was the case.
Yeah, Anita Dobson's been wearing one of those like hyper realistic Mission Impossible masks, which she rips off, and it's just Harry.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary villain though. My face. I mean, that's pretty scary.
I threw up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Forget the race. I mean, that's nothing compared to this.
Right. Is there anything else you folks want to chat about with the Robot Revolution? Because like I said, it's a fun opening romp, but I actually don't know if there's too much more to say about it. But if not, do you have like any expectations for the next few weeks? Do you have like a favorite episode that you're looking forward to, whether it be maybe a sequel to Midnight, maybe the Eurovision Song Contest episode, right? Do you folks have like expectations moving forward?
This is the first season where I am actually quite excited for almost all of them for different reasons. Like with season one, I was just sort of going into it and just seeing what happens. But with this one, like I'm really excited for Lux. I think just the cartoon character, Mr. Ringerding. Is it Mr. Ringerding? Yeah, it seems really fun. That's the one, Mr. Alan Cummings. The Well, I mean, again, if it's a Midnight sequel, I mean, that's super interesting. Then the Ruby one, isn't there, where she's on her own? That would be fun. Something like that. And then there's the Interstellar Song Contest, which I think will be... Is that the one that people keep saying there's going to be some big spoiler for that one? or something.
Yeah, I think Russell was like, if there's ones you want to watch on broadcast and not get spoiled,
Yeah.
it's I think it's episode 3, The Well, and the Interstellar Song Contest, which is episode 6. I think those were the three. The Rani Song Contest. It turns
Oh,
out
okay.
Interstellar was an anagram for Rani.
Yes,
I'm
and
gonna
Gordon Norton.
Gordon
Graham
Norton.
Norton's the Rani too.
My unironic bet is that Ryland is the Rani and Graham Norton is the master, and that is my bet for the episode.
Yeah,
I'll put 100 quid down.
Ethan in the chat just said the Rylan. So it's not the Rani, it's the Rylan. They've regenerated.
Oh my god, it's Missy all over again.
Yes. But okay, so if that's sort of it for the episode itself, Jack and Harry, you folks are actually taking Doctor Who to the stage in August for Out of Plot, which is a Doctor Who fan parody. If you folks want to talk more about that and the cause to support SUDC as well.
Yes, gladly. So, a couple of years ago, I tried to bring Doctor Who to the stage and hit many copyright-related hurdles. So this time, I'm being a bit more careful. Now, I'm assuming most of the chat will know Out of Time, the fantastic 3-part, I guess, series where David Tennant gets to meet his friends. And I love it. And the first one especially, where he meets 4, is brilliant. So I'm not ripping it off. That would be silly. Yeah, that one. Thank you for the visual aid, Mr. Harry. And really, it was Harry's idea to use Out of Time rather, for the show. And, you know, I thought Big Finish might be nicer to us. So we have made an entire spoof play coming to East Grinstead in August, supporting Suds UK, which is a fantastic charity who do some fantastic work. I work in childcare, and that's sort of their area of expertise. I'll allow people to look at it in their own time. But we are very, very excited. We've been working very hard behind the scenes with an incredible cast. I've just realized I'm being the RTD here. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be marvelous. And I highly, highly recommend either coming along, or if you can't come along, donating to our fundraiser, which so far is reached £580, which I am chuffed to bits about.
And in the live chat as well, we've got Catherine Wheeler here as well, who I believe is also
yes,
involved.
Hi, Kat. Yeah, she plays the abbess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've got a link in the description to the Checkermead Theatre page where you can book tickets for Out of Plot. And Harry, where do you fall into this role as well? I can see you in a big curly wig on the poster. So clearly you're playing Patrick Troughton, correct?
Yeah, no, I'm playing William Hartnell. I've got the most uncanny impression. Big Finish just keep rejecting me. I don't know why. Stephen Noonan's just too good, I suppose. But no, yeah, I'm playing 4. He's also my favorite Doctor. So like, I remember when Jack asked, like, "Oh, what do we do? What do we do?" I literally like took 2 seconds to look around my shelf, and I just saw Out of Time right there. I thought literally perfect because you know Jack's 10 is really good. I can't do a 4th Doctor impression, but I'll be hilarious on stage, I'm sure. Well, you know, we'll have those Dalek props as well, which is fantastic. It's a nice, simple, small cast. I thought, yeah, perfect. But I'm also doing the music, just some little bits of bobs here and there, which should be good fun. I made the poster. That was all good fun to do. What else have I done? Have I done anything else, Jack, or have I just done nothing?
You ain't done nothing, mate. But no, Harry is instrumental to all of this. But we've also, as well, not only got the one Dalek on the stage, we've got a smattering of Daleks that are going to invade the venue. We've also got a 4th Doctor TARDIS prop, which is being brought along, which I am ecstatic to act next to. And it's gonna be fun. It's just gonna be fun. That's the idea. We're here to have a bit of fun and raise money for a good cause. Raise money for them. Jack's losing money, so please come and make it worth it.
So without being too deeply into spoilers for it, how closely aligned is it to the Out of Time story? Is it just like a full-on like rewrite, or what's happening with that?
I would describe it as not a retelling, because I'd say about halfway through it completely deviates. But it's sort of halfway through, leading up to, I will say, a character's death. From that point onwards, it's fan fiction. It does not follow the plot in any way, but there is absolutely zero copy dialogue. I need to stress that. Again, I'm terrified of the copyright gods destroy. Maybe Michael Mouse himself will come and stab me. But yes, no copied dialogue. But the first half is fairly similar to what people have heard in the audio.
Okay, and you've got the celebrity Dalek as well, Colin.
Oh,
Yes.
Colin, I love him. I love him. I love the Dobsons. If people who were on Twitter, Blue Sky and Instagram and stuff, you may know Colin the House Dalek. In fact, Chris Chibnall on Blue Sky recently reposted a picture of theirs, and it now uses it as his Blue Sky banner. So if you look on his Blue Sky, you'll see Colin the Dalek. So head writer approved already this show. So that's pretty cool.
Nice, because I'm just looking at the Dobson family's Blue Sky as well, and like all of their like fun, like because I've been following them on Twitter, but now Blue Sky for ages, and like is the like incredibly wholesome energy from that profile.
I
as
love
well.
them to bits. I met them in the when I was hosting Doctor Who the Community Show, and they are just such a wonderful, wonderful family. All four of them. The new one, little Ellis, little Rory, and both parents. I adore them to bits, and I'm so chuffed that they wanted to be a part of this. And that goes for all the cast as well. With Harry, obviously, my rock. We've got Naomi, who I worked with on a Secret Cinema immersive show, a Guardians of the Galaxy and a Dirty Dancing.
Ooh.
We've also got Kat Wheeler, who I don't know if is still in the chat, but she is playing the Abbess, and she is wonderful. She's also done great charity work in the fandom with the History Between Us zine. I think I have it here. This lovely thing. If you've ever seen this before, I adore this. And then there's also Seb, who's a brilliant old school Whotuber. He's been making stuff for years and years and years, and I very much looked up to him when I started. And so there's not a dud in the bunch. Bar me, there's not a dud in the bunch. You're gonna want to see us. You're gonna want to come along.
Right, and I know the music's going to be great because Harry, I've heard your music before. I've had it on some of my videos as well. Check out Harry's channel and Jack's channel as well. Let's be charitable. Let's throw Jack in here. Let's check out your YouTube channel. But Harry's music covers are particularly brilliant. So it will sound great. I'm sure it will look great. Anything else about Out of Plot? You can get your tickets through the link in the description below. Checka Mead Theatre. I'll put a link to the charity one as well for those who aren't able to make it or make the trip. I'll put that in the description as well. But anything else to add?
There's just sort of two, I suppose. Number one is that we're currently working towards the next fundraiser goal of 750, which the goal for that will be taking Colin the Dalek and hopefully me and Harry as well down to Worthing Pier and taking it out for a drive, handing out flyers and just being an absolute menace. But also the goal that we've already hit. Speaking of music, we hit 500 about a month ago, and the goal for that was that we have to all sing "Doctor in Distress" at the end of the show live to the audience. And I'll be honest, I regretted it when I typed it, but I think it's going to be hysterical. Oh, and also, if you can't attend and you donate to the fundraiser, you'll get first dibs on the filmed version. We are very lucky that we're being recorded professionally for this show, and hopefully not long after I'll be able to upload it to the official Jack Reeves YouTube channel. And yeah, if you donate, you get first dibs on that. So do it, cowards. You won't.
There we go. That donation link is now in the video description as well for Just Giving. They've raised £580 at time of this chat as well. So hopefully we can get that target going up and up and up, and then we can get Doctor in Distress live on stage like Hans Zimmer intended.
Hell yeah.
Brilliant
Crazy
stuff.
That's crazy.
So Out of Plot, a Doctor Who play to support SUDC, will be performing August 26th at Checka Mead Theatre. Link in the description below to get your tickets and to learn more about it. Starring Jack and Harry, thank you so much to both of you for being here this evening as well to talk the Robot Revolution and Doctor Who. Massively appreciate your time.
Oh, it's been a delight.
Anything else you'd like to plug, or because I know you're both on Blue Sky, you've got your own YouTube channels and such. So if you want to plug away, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm almost at 2K subs. Just get me over that bloody line. You know how exhausting it is to see 1.98 for like 3 weeks running. Get me over that line, or I'm gonna just cancel everything. Just the whole.
You made
off. Gone.
You made it sound like ironically like a charity appeal for only one sub a month. We can finally get him for 2K. But yes, do. He's an absolute charmer.
You can
I
make
love
sure
Harry.
the Doctor Who fan composer can never go hungry again.
Yeah.
And it's a good cause. And also he's got some great audios coming out. Me and him made At King's Reclusion a few years ago, which is a fantastic audio, and he's got some new ones coming out very soon. So you are not going to want to miss that good stuff.